who's writing her stuff? I'm like,
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say how I feel. I don't
Yeah.
need someone else to write me
For sure.
my platform or my messages.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, this is how I want to be.
I
right?
love it. I
Yeah,
love it.
Yeah.
So with that being said, let's dive into it. So
Sure.
take us through kind of. I want to start to give a bit of like about who you are and kind of where you came from and stuff like that. Take us through you mentioned before we were talking about before we hit record today about kind of your startup in like with small business, like you're working really young. But I'm curious, take us through kind of like your transition period, like leaving post secondary and like high school, kind of like that kind of time frame, and tie us into where we are now. We can go through it all.
Sure. So obviously I'm a son of Italian immigrant parents that started a family business.
Mm-hmm.
So as I was saying, when the family business started, I think I was in grade 6. So that was part of my life, right? Go there, sweep the floor, make little pastry boxes and stuff while my parents were working, right? Because back then couldn't afford a sitter or anything, so you're just gonna come at the bakery and hang out in the back, right?
That's awesome.
And it was good because I learned so much in those years.
Yeah.
Got to meet a lot of people and got to see how hard my parents worked and really appreciated it. Went to high school, St. Charles College. Nice. When it was all boys, we were actually last class of all boys in 1993. Back in the day. I know I'm dating myself now. Stuff like that.
I love it.
But yeah, so did that, and I really I at the beginning of grade 13, I had decided I didn't want to go to post secondary school. I'm not going to post secondary. I'm just going to work. And my dad was like, nah, you know what? You got to go to school. Yeah. Because I didn't, my dad didn't. He came with a grade 2 education. Right. He's like, you have to go to school. You got to get a degree. You have to be able to.
Makes sense. Or
which
take
makes
advantage
sense.
of the opportunity.
He's like, take advantage of the opportunity just in case if something happens where the business fails. You have something to back up on. Amazing. I'm like, okay, you know what? No problem.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So I was registered at Laurentian to take commerce, and I was supposed to play on the soccer team. And then around a month before school started, I was like, you know what? I don't need to go get a commerce degree. I think I'm just going to go to Cambridge College and take a business administration. I'm going to save myself 1 year of schooling. Smart. And 1 year of money because my dad said you're going to pay for your own school, which in turn he ended up giving me the money back. But
amazing.
You know what I mean? It was just it was a lesson, right?
Yeah. He didn't tell you before.
He didn't tell me before. Yeah, exactly.
I love
it. I actually went to Cambridge College, took business administration, and I actually got a job with the Bank of Montreal.
Epic, yeah.
Through my placement. And then I stayed there for a year, and I realized that because when I was in school, I started getting these aspirations. Like I want to work on Bay Street. Like this is my thing. I want to be in a suit. I want to work on Bay Street. I want to be like big money guy.
I love it.
Yeah. And then when I got into the banking industry, it just wasn't for me. I was like, ooh, this is not what I thought it was, right? And it was like low level, working at a branch, but still, I just kind of seen how the world worked. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to survive in this world in the sense where I'm a very true person, and I'm not gonna.
You're not wavering.
I'm not wavering. Yeah.
I love it.
So then I just went back to the family business, and then from there.
Was it a series of things that kind of led up to that decision, or was it just one thing that was like?
No, it was a series of things for sure. I saw that how because I was young and not married kids, I would have to move around a lot to advance myself up to get into the bank.
I see. Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't want to leave from Sudbury. I kind of like I love Sudbury. My family's here and stuff. And just how to see the how corporate structure was, and you really had to like earn your stripes, and you really had to like do a lot of things you probably didn't want to do to get there. And I'm not like that. I'm just I was you know what? I'll say I did it. I could do it. I know I could do it. Yeah. But I'll turn my attention to trying to grow the business.
It would take a lot longer to get where you wanted, doing it your way, than if you had to compromise.
Yes, absolutely.
Part of you.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, it's a tricky situation.
I take my off here because I'm starting
to
sweat.
Sure.
But yeah, it would have took a long time, and I just and it's like anything, you have these dreams and aspirations to do something, and then you try it, and it's not really what you thought it was, right? Because you see it on TV or
Yeah, it's glamorized.
It's glamorized. Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everything's glamorized. Yeah,
it's
Trust
crazy.
me.
It's like all these lawyers doing like, man, I think I'm Harvey Specter from Suits, and that's like,
and I love that show, and I know friends of mine who are attorneys, and they're like. Yeah, that's like
it's not.
They take the 5% of the good stuff and put it on TV.
Of the good stuff.
Good stuff, put it on TV, and then the 95% that you don't want to see on TV, right?
Right. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Did you, looking back to when you kind of made that shift, and now you're like, okay, I'm gonna go into the family back into the family business. I guess you probably never left, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I was
you're
still
always
kind of
part-time
working part-time, still doing the thing.
So at that point, you're what, probably mid-20s at this point, or
Yeah.
like early?
Yeah, mid-20s. Yeah, mid-20s.
Were you? What was your thought process leaving? Were you like, "Okay, now I'm gonna go. I'm gonna help out, and we're gonna use what I learned in school to kind of apply it here and take it to the next level," or was there kind of like, we're just gonna work and see where it goes?
No. So obviously, going back to the business, I went to school, learned a lot of things in school that I probably wouldn't learn hands-on, right?
Right.
And I'm very fortunate that I had a good balance. I went to school and I had a lot of hands-on, and I say that was beneficial because there are some things that you won't learn in school,
right,
that you can learn on site, and vice versa. You're gonna learn some things, hands-on that you're not gonna learn in school.
It's a good mix.
So so it's a very good mix, and I was fortunate for that. But when I did come back, I'm like, okay, I have a plan. I want to make sure that I want to grow this business. I know there's an opportunity, and I know that we can make it successful. And not that it wasn't successful, but we can grow on it, right? And we set goals every year of how much we want to do, and it was a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
But it was structured, organized, and it's like anything. You need to build. You need to have a good support system and a base if you want to grow. Right. So in that industry, obviously, if you want to double your revenue, you need to double your staff. It's plain and simple, right?
No kidding, eh?
Yeah, for sure. You need people, right?
You want to expand, you gotta hire.
You gotta hire.
Yeah.
You have to hire.
Crazy.
You can't expect someone to do double the work.
Yeah.
What they're doing now, and
goodness, no.
Yeah, it doesn't. So you have to hire. You have to hire people, and we did, and we grew. We doubled our staff, so we could double our revenue.
Yeah.
But it takes time. Nothing happens overnight.
Right.
And a lot of businesses that you see that fail is because they try to grow too fast. You need to be able to grow at a rate where you can support it and keep the product consistent and the customer service consistent.
So then, do you almost you stop rushing then at that point? You're like, hey, or you just how do you pace yourself in that setting?
So a lot of it's like learn by failure, right?
Yeah.
So the biggest thing and what I tell to young people that I've learned and a lot of people told me is to learn from other people's mistakes as opposed to your own mistakes.
Amazing, yeah.
That's I always give my kid they always give me.
You're telling me it's like the wise man versus
the smart man, right? Or a smart person. Wise person learns from other people's mistakes. A smart person learns from their own. You want to be the wise person,
right?
Because you'll save yourself a lot of grief.
Yeah,
hard work,
half the issues,
money. Yeah, exactly. So a lot of the growth and experience was on my own, my mistakes, and then a switch clicked, and I'm like, I can't keep doing this. I got to make sure that I need to learn from other people.
Yeah.
So I would speak to people in the industry, speak to people that older people than me that kind of went through the same thing, or very close, and try to take as much information as I could from them to make the right the right choices, let's say.
Yeah.
And not all the choices, sometimes still backfired, but we would try to write down, okay, so what happened here? Why did this go wrong?
Oh, cool. You have like a reflection process.
Yes.
On it.
You have to, with anything in life, right? Anything. You always need to be able to reflect.
Right.
And if you're going to plan out a path, you need to have ABC. I would say you need to have 3 because that road's never going to go straight. You might have 4, so you need to, and you might have a plan B, but plan B might not work. You have to go to plan C.
Yeah, like you need your options. Or
options always options. Yes, always are.
So kind of shifting gears and moving forward now. You at how many years after college were you until you were like, okay, I'm gonna switch it up and I'm gonna now take on a new business venture? Like, what was that timing like?
So it was almost. 25 years, and in the but in that time too, I had got married, I had kids, so then that was my focus, and that was kind of like, I had to devote a lot of time to, I have 3 daughters, I have a set of twins, and they're all 15 months apart, so it was just like instant family, so I had to devote a lot of energy and time to that as well.
For sure.
So obviously, the business, I wouldn't say took a back seat, but it was. Yeah, it was wild times. It was wild times for sure. But it's awesome now because they're all best friends and they're all they hang out together. There's no like.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it could be one or the other. I'm happy.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, so life obviously life's gonna throw some like curveballs sometimes. So you just gotta be able to adjust. So I like I said, there's a point for around 8 to 10 years where we were still growing as a business, but not exponentially as much as we would like to because. It was tough. There's only 24 hours in a day. You need to sleep at least 6.
At least 6.
At least 6, and then you got to work for 12. And, you got to make sure that you have time for your family as well.
Right.
So, but once my kids started getting older and they weren't as dependent, then I realized, you know what, that it was time for a change for myself, and we had the opportunity to buy Don's Pizza.
Sick.
And we did, and it was basically, that was like almost as close to a startup as possible, because the original owner, or the owner who we bought it from, had done it for over 35 years, and he was tired. And he just
he was maintaining it.
He was maintaining it. It was basically like almost like a hobby for him. He would open when he wanted to, and type of thing. Yeah. So we turned it back into
How'd you find out he was selling?
We would buy pizzas from there all the time.
I guess,
and they'd always be like, so and so's coming to buy it. I'm like, okay, good. But everybody was. It was always that last step when people would be like, I see the work that needs to be involved.
It's a bit scary.
It's scary, right?
You never know, right? You pull down a wall and you're like, oh no.
Yeah. So we stripped that place top to bottom. I did a lot of the work. Had to. A lot of hard work, but I knew that that there was a lot of potential there.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of potential. So we took the gamble and we did it, and obviously it's paid off. We'd open up another location.
Yeah.
And now planning to we'll open up a third one in New Sudbury whenever we can find a good spot.
Epic.
So it's good, and it feels good because I grew up on that pizza. It's an institution in Sudbury.
Yeah.
And we wanted to make sure that we didn't lose that.
Oh, it's insane. I have friends of mine who are like in their mid-30s that when they're like, dude, it's like best pizza, not even close. Best pizza in Sudbury. It's so, and I'm like, yeah, man, I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
It's good, and I love that because it makes me feel like, okay, we're doing a good thing, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, we want to be a business successful, but I think the biggest success that we can gain is getting people to enjoy it and actually want to spread the word, right?
Which is, it's huge, right? And I think, too, what's cool is you have the older generations that may have grown up with it and seen it and enjoyed it, for what it is. And then now it's like, oh, there's new ownership. We're making a bunch of changes, but they're not changes where it's like now we ruin the quality of anything. So it's like we just renovated the inside.
Renovated the outside and make sure product is consistent, and
huge.
The customer services there as well. So we did. So when we took it over, we said, okay, we need to make sure that we keep our current customer base because they're loyal. Like they're super loyal. Like they're the most loyal customers we have. But we also want to make sure that we can gain a new market.
Right.
And so what we did is we just made sure that we kept. We didn't change as much. We made whatever changes we did was to better the product, not to change the product.
I see you, as
opposed to changing the product,
right? Some people do both.
Some people do both. No. We added new products, but with the products that were there, we just left them, but we changed them to make them better.
Smart. Like kept the baseline.
Yeah. So those people, they appreciated that, the original customers. And the new customers that we have, the new group, they tried and they're like, this is really good. Yeah. And we enjoy it. Now we see why people have why this place has a following, right?
Right.
And you have I hear stories like these people coming in, they come to a restaurant like, me and my wife, our first date was 49 years ago at this place in that booth. Yeah. It's wild. It's wild. People telling us stories.
That gum
I'm like,
still there.
That gum's still there. I'm like, is that the one? You're the person that scratched your heart in the corner there, Happy Valentine's Day, by the way, everybody, and happy family. Happy Family Day and Valentine's Day.
I love it.
But so you hear these stories and you're like, hey, I've kept this, and it feels good because I'm like, okay, I've kept this alive, and because there's people that they resonate to it, they have feelings, they're attached to it, and that's what I enjoy the most.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Man, so you don't know, and then all of a sudden these people show up and
they show up and they tell me these stories, or
So you said a while ago you got what'd you say before we were talking? You said about 7-10 years ago or so you. Because I have business questions I want to ask you, but we got to dive into political stuff. But there's stuff that before you were mentioning how you were talking about politics and then you couldn't quite do it because it was like a kids, right? Like kids, you had a bunch of kids and the opportunity.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to do this around, it was around 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Anyways, my kids were still young, and I was still at the bakery, which is very time consuming. Mm-hmm. And I knew that I couldn't put forth the time and effort to make it successful. Right. And anything I do in life, I always try to make sure that I'm gonna be as successful as I can.
For sure.
And that way, if I'm not successful, I can say, I tried my hardest. Yeah. And I just didn't make it this time.
That's how it goes.
So I couldn't do it at that point. My kids were still young. But now, obviously, my kids are older. They're going to university next year. Yeah. Don's, we've set it up where I don't need to be there as much.
Perfect. Yeah.
So it was good timing for me this time, and I wanted to make sure that. I've always wanted to do have some sort of engagement with politics. Mm-hmm. Originally, I thought it would be municipally, but I realized that I could do a lot more for our community at a provincial level.
Yeah.
And I know that the timing is right for Sudbury now at this point, that we can actually have a massive change for our community. And that's what I want to do. I'm doing this for the community. I've always been, part of the community. I've been coaching soccer, fundraising, donation, everything, all that kind of stuff. But this is something different where I can make a change for our community. And I call Sudbury, it's my home. I love it. My kids are here. My parents are here.
Yeah.
I have lots of, a big social network. So I want to try to better the city as much as I can personally.
Right.
So
talk to me about this. How did you get involved in like the political front? Yeah.
Well, I've always been interested in politics, and it was there was a conversation this summer with me and two of my really close friends, and they're like, we need to have someone in there that's going to do it for the right things. We don't need someone that's going in just to get airtime, or someone that wants to change their careers, wants to be famous. We need someone that actually genuinely wants to do it for change.
Yeah. And
we were having a couple of drinks. Like, you should do it. I'm like, okay, sure, whatever, no problem. And the conversation kept going all night long. You know what I mean? Like, trying to convince me. And I was just like, you guys obviously had too much to drink because you guys are talking crazy.
Give me your keys.
Yeah, exactly. So then when I woke up, we slept over. They all slept over. And woke up in the morning and they're like, so did you think about it? I'm like, I thought you guys were like just joking around. I'm like, no, we're serious.
They brought that to the session of hanging out with you.
Yeah,
like, for sure. They had that pocket before they started drinking.
And these are two of my best friends, like guys that
Yeah.
And so I was like,
oh, that's awesome.
I was just kind of like, obviously, I don't think anything's going right in your head, but whatever. But then I started thinking about it, and I thought, like, yeah, you know what, this could be a good a good opportunity for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I spoke to my kids first because they're obviously can be affected by this, immensely. They were on board. They were just kind of worried if their lives are going to change, anyway. And I'm like, well, no, it won't change much, but my life will, drastically change.
Yeah, for sure.
But they were on board. They were supportive, so that was good. And then I reached out to the party, and obviously, we sat down a couple of times, and discussed, and there was other people that were interested in the position as well.
Mm-hmm.
But then, the election came fast, and they basically told me on a Wednesday I was their candidate, and I had to be in Toronto on Saturday at 9:00 in the morning.
Damn. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they're like, I remember a phone call at 7:55 on a Wednesday.
Like in the morning or at night?
At night.
Oh, amazing.
Call me, they're like, we made a decision, because there was two other candidates.
Right.
And they were planning to have like a nomination race, like normal. Like,
yeah.
But then, they called an election early. They had no choice. Now they had to make it. They had to select someone. So they obviously thought that I was their,
let's go,
let's
baby.
go, yeah,
Come
yeah.
on.
I was their better, the best candidate for them.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, you got to go Saturday. You have to meet the whole PC party. They're gonna give you your guidebook, how to run a campaign, and
what?
You have 39 days to
make it happen. Get a
I was
W.
like, okay, sure, no problem.
It's easy. I'll do it. I love it.
It's easy, yeah, sure.
Oh,
it's easy.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So, first things first, when you get to Toronto, what was that experience like, meeting everybody? It was like big conference room?
Yeah, it was a big, so they called it the Super Caucus, and it was like, big, room at a hotel.
Yeah.
There's 126 candidates, plus their chief of staff, or their, their campaign chairs.
Bunch of people,
and then you have all like the, people that work for the actual, for the PC party, right? The actual party. So there's 400 people in this room.
Jeez,
and you walk in, and here's me and my campaign manager.
Yeah, and you're like, who we
two Italian guys from Sudbury.
I love it. Yeah,
we're like, hey, we're walking in this room, and
let's go.
We knew one person. We knew Vic Fideli, because I met Vic Fideli before.
Yeah.
But he's probably met like
everybody.
Yeah.
Insane.
So I went to, hey Vic, how's it going? He saw my name, and then we just we kind of made ourselves around the room.
Did the rounds.
Yeah. So I'm good. I can approach anybody.
It's intimidating, but
it's intimidating, but I'm like, hey, we need to introduce
it's your bread and butter. You've been customer service and we're
for my whole life
forever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So by the end of that session, which was a long day, it was like 9 to 5. Let's say it was a full 8 hours, like in that room. By the end of the day, we were like, people were coming up to us, hey, how's it going? They want actually to kind of meet us, because
sick.
We were working the room pretty good for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you had to do any like presentations or anything, like
no,
no. Okay,
that was just kind of like
like big meet and greets.
Big meet and greets. Yeah. Here's some info for you to get started. we're here to help you, and they've been very supportive.
That's perfect. Yeah.
But like this is my first crack.
Yeah.
My campaign team. This is all their like these are all buddies of mine.
Yeah.
So we're just like off the cuff. Like we have some people helping us.
I love it.
That, like
yeah.
from there, but they're like, you know, when's the last time when's the last campaign you did? Never. When's the last time you ran for politics? I'm like, I was student council in high school.
Yeah.
That's the last time I did anything like sort of election wise.
Awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of makes it's that old like conversation where people are always like, man, we need a non-politician to be in politics, right?
For sure.
It's very, very...
You want someone real, right?
Yeah, man.
Someone that's going to be like, hey, I understand what you're doing because I went through it.
Yeah.
And I'm not, if you ask me a question, I don't know the answer.
Right, it's a relatability factor.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to say I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
And it's happened to me. I've been, meeting with people and they're asking me these questions and I'm like, I'm upfront with them. I said, I'm 4 weeks in the job.
Yeah.
I don't know about all the policies and everything that's going on. But listen, when I get into office, we can sit down and we can talk and I'll definitely address your concerns. But right now, I don't know. And they appreciate the honesty.
For sure.
As opposed to me trying to give them some fluff answer that they'd probably,
Which is, I think, what the issue people have with, like, the generalized version of a politician, right? Like the cookie cutter version, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm definitely not the cookie cutter.
No.
I've cut a lot of cookies in my life.
Yeah.
But I'm not
like most of the cookies ever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
that's
awesome.
But I'm not that person at all.
Fair.
At all.
So, that's the appreciation I have. I know... So, we'll get right into it. I've had Jamie West on the show. Yeah. Right? Your main, I would say, front runner.
Yeah.
Why should somebody elect you instead of him?
So Jamie...
Or pick you specifically.
Yeah, I mean. So, Jamie's a good guy. Yeah. And, he's served, the community. But the only problem with Jamie is that he's working from the outside in. He's not in the party in power. And it's politics. It's not, and it's nothing against Sudbury. Yeah. It's how it goes. They take care of their ridings who have they have support first, and then they'll worry about everybody else. So as much as Jamie wants to, advocate for Sudbury and work hard, he's one person fighting against possible, like they're projected like 100 seats this time. One person against 100, right?
Yeah.
It's a battle that you're never gonna win. So what I tell people is, yes, you've been Liberal your whole life or you've been NDP your whole life. Sure. I totally understand. I totally understand. But this election here, we need to vote strategically because if we want provincial funding from the province, we need to have someone at the table. We need a seat at, and I keep telling people, we need a seat at the table. I need to be on the same side with the party in power. If you look at North Bay, Timmins, Sault Ste. Marie, they've had PC representation and they've got funding. They've had immense funding compared to what we get in our city.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know it was like that.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Oh,
that's how it is.
Yeah.
It's not. They're not casting us off.
Right.
But we're sitting at this table here having this conversation. Yeah. Well, they're sitting all the way in that corner having their conversation, trying to get into our conversation.
I see you. Yeah.
And that's how it works.
Oh, that makes sense.
And it's I don't like. It's just the way it is. It's always been like that. When Rick Bartolucci was MPP, some people, when he was MPP. The Liberal Party was in power. Rick did a lot for this community.
Right.
He's he's in the Hall of Fame of, I call him he's in the Hall of Fame of politicians for Sudbury. He did so much for this community. He cared, and the amount of programs and projects that he brought to the city was unreal. I want to try to be the next Rick Bartolucci and do that for our community as well. Yeah. And that way I can leave a lasting impression on the city to say, you know what, we got this done. Just and all it is you need to put the right person in the right place at the right time, and the stars are aligned for that this time here.
I think so.
Yeah.
Now,
it is.
What I'm curious about, with that being said, do you have like pillars that you're like projects or pillars that you're kind of focused on developing? That you're like, okay, I'm going to bring these 3 things.
Yeah.
To focus, or what does that kind of look like? I know you mentioned you're in the beginning stages and stuff like that.
Yeah. So obviously. And as I said before, I don't know if there's like a 1, 2, 3. I think they're all very even.
Sure.
So obviously the first blanket general one is there's a lot of things in Sudbury needs to be fixed. Right. So I'm gonna try to do as much as I can for every sector. I'm treating that like I'm treating every people as Sudburyans. I'm not looking at healthcare, education. Like I'm treating everybody as the same. So because I know everybody in every sector in the city, and I want to try to make it best for everybody.
For sure.
I'm a Sudburyan. I love this place. It's my home. and I want to I treat everybody the same, no matter of what occupation or what, you know, but religious beliefs, and I just treat everybody the same. That being said, obviously, one of the biggest projects or items that, and it comes to home for me, is obviously forlaying the rest of Highway 69. My best friend lost his mom years ago because of that highway, so that's something that really hits home. And then obviously our hospital. I met with Dave McNeil, the CEO of the hospital, and he's, you know, our hospital's too small. We need more funding. And if I'm there having those discussions, I can, you know, work as hard as I can to get that. We do need it. Sudbury is the medical center of Northern Ontario. We service Sault Ste. Marie, we service North Bay, we service Timmins, all the way up to, like, you know, Thunder Bay, James Bay, all the way up. We service that all. So we do need a bigger hospital. So we need funding for that. And if I'm there to push hard, which I will, we have a better chance of doing that. And I've been in the hospital. My parents have been in the hospital. I see it. I see it firsthand. I have friends that are, you know, that work at the hospital.
It's rough.
It's rough. Yeah, it's rough. It's actually really bad. Really bad. So yes, those two big things for me, those are like probably the top two. But not to say that one's more important than the other, or not to say that there's other programs. Like, we need there's a whole mountain of problems, but we just gotta chip away at them one at a time.
So, the thing that I've kind of looked into that I'm curious about, doing my kind of research and everything seeming good, there is one, and I know you mentioned this, and that's why I was like I'm hesitant on bringing this question up. That's because you had mentioned, you're like, all the policies, some you might know, some you don't, right? So it might be I'm not sure yet kind of answer, but which is fine. I look at a lot of things with Ontario PC, and I'm very happy. I'm like, okay, like I'm leaning this way, I'm feeling good, you know. And then I look and I see stuff like Doug Ford cutting funding for midwifery programs, right, the school. And then I look and I'm like, okay, but then on the other hand, I see that I'm not sure if it was you guys enacted a bill that allowed, and I could be getting this wrong, but it's like either salary cap or like no salary cap, or increase the percentage of public workers in terms of raises and stuff like that, where it's like, I use my girlfriend, for example, and friends of mine, that it's, if they're in nursing in terms of like they work as nurses, or they work as like she's like be going into teaching, right? And then there's also at that same age is like, okay, well, we're also trying to get like having kids, and like those conversations are happening, right? And those and I have friends of mine that are very like, as guy friends, are very like, dude, they helped me through that process. So then it's a weird tie where it's like, okay, we want to, like, there's support for this on this side, where it's like, well, my significant other could get more money, right? But in this case, it's like, well, we might not have access to certain services in that, like, midwifery kind of idea. So that's kind of where there's like a bit of a juggle, at least in like, for what me and like guy friends and like couples my age are having that issue, where they're like, okay, we're in our mid to late 20s, we're thinking about kids. Wives or girlfriends work in the public sector, right? Whether it be teaching, nursing, like hospitals, whatever. So it's like they're making money, so that's good. But then on the other side, it's like, well, we're trying to have kids, and then there are these services that might not be available because they might not be getting funding. That's where my like kind of question is where I'm like, okay, well, what? Almost, I'm not sure, because then it's not like, well, what do you do? But it's like, well, does that come to like representative of what Sudbury needs in terms of like a service in the hospital? Or is that something that like you go, hey man, so we notice this is something that needs more attention, or is it just like a priority thing? I'm just stating for like exactly where certain people my age are. But it's like, we're out of the university, we're in that space, and we're thinking this, but we're having this conflict. That's where I'm like, what's the resolution for that? Because then we're on the fence, right?
Yeah, you're on the fence
with people like that.
So obviously that's a topic that's come up in past conversations, that they've cut back on the midwifery program. I don't know why they've cut back, but I do know that from what I've learned in the short period of time, is whatever they do, they try to do for the benefit of the majority of the people, right? They're not like going in certain centers, let's say, or certain areas and saying we're canceling this program.
Yeah.
And
like what you were just saying with like, I'm not putting this and this and this. You're not separating.
yeah, I'm not
everybody.
separating. So what they
you.
do is, obviously they collectively and
Yeah.
see, and maybe they've seen that the results aren't there, but we don't see it because we're just looking at our little,
Right.
our community here.
Yeah,
right?
it's tricky.
I don't know why they've cut. I
Right.
haven't researched that much, and I
Fair.
I apologize for that. But the thing is that it's like sometimes they cut certain programs,
Right.
and then when they see the result, they're like, okay, maybe we should go back to this again, right?
I see you. Yeah.
And I don't.
That's fair.
I'm on the belief that if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, I obviously, when my children were born, which was 16, 17 years ago, we still had traditional OBGYN for the doctor, but I know that they started to implement midwifery because they figured we can take away from the strain on the hospitals and the health system.
I see.
And have someone outside being able to alleviate some of the work
the extra stress.
The extra stress is going there
for sure. That makes sense.
I don't know if there's a perfect system.
Yeah.
I know that our system in Ontario and in Canada is still one of the better ones, as much as people knock it down.
For sure. Yeah.
I've seen, the system in the U.S. where if you don't have healthcare, it's rough. It's rough, bad, right? Yeah. But it is definitely in Sudbury. And when I talk to people, they talk a lot of things on a provincial level, and I understand.
Yeah.
But my main focus is like Sudbury. Like,
right.
Like I'm not. Yes, it will. What they do on provincial level affects Sudbury.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to focus on Sudbury, so I'm trying to focus on, HSN.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to focus on our social programs that help people with, mental illness, drug addiction, things like that, where I can see the people on the street that I remember.
Yeah.
I'm like,
that's crazy.
That, he used to work at the grocery store. I remember. Now all of a sudden I see him. He's
you're like, he's not doing too.
He's not doing too great,
Man.
And I feel for that because I probably had a conversation with him about something, right? Or he maybe, I've seen him somewhere, and that's what really resonates to me.
What is that solution, or not solution, but what do the steps look like to kind of making those changes for the people that you might see at the grocery store one day, have a good conversation, they might come in, buy bread, make sandwiches, because every time I go to Reed's, I'm getting like 3 fucking loaves of bread, and I'll like muck 3 sandwiches before I get out, and it's crazy. But anyways, my eating problems aside, looking onto that, how do you, what are the steps towards kind of like helping those people?
So I think,
because that's very important.
Yeah, it's very important. Sure. So I think that there is a lack of places for them to go, for sure, first and foremost.
Yeah.
And I think that they need to. What's happening now, in my mind, and I'm not an expert in that, is that they're treated they're not treated fully. They need to be treated to the point where they're back on eating healthy.
I see.
They have a little bit of some more guidance, as opposed to treating their addiction or just kind of giving them like a little bit of a basic treatment, and then just they let them go. Right. It takes a long time for some people. Some people are more resilient and more adaptive than others. Mm-hmm. And that's hard when you're treating someone, because you and I can have both, the same drug addiction, let's say, but you can relate to. I mean, you can, let's say, cure yourself faster than me. It might take me double the time.
You might respond differently to certain things.
Exactly.
So
sure. and it's difficult because as human beings, we're all different, right?
All over the place,
all different. I think there needs to be more funding to that, and I think it needs to be more. People need to be more aware. My eyes have opened in the past 2 weeks because I've gone to a lot of different centers and places, spoke to, and it's
no kidding.
Yeah. Oh, it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing.
So it doesn't. It sounds like it's more than just safe injection sites.
Yes. Oh
right?
no.
I almost don't like.
Yeah, I don't like the idea
that's
either.
Personally,
yeah,
that's me. That's not.
And I'm the same way too. Like I don't like the idea.
Yeah.
But I know that they're trying to. I don't know if there's a perfect formula.
Yeah.
So what they're trying to do is they're trying to, have a lot of different avenues for these people.
Yeah.
Because some people, they might not be able to ever get off. But so what they're saying is, okay, so instead of us trying to, help you, and we're gonna give you a safe place to keep doing what you're doing. Mm-hmm. I'm always underneath the pressure. Everybody can. You can. I believe that every human being can do something as long as they put their mind to it and they have the right guidance and coaching, and and support, right? So I feel for those people, and I think that yes, you can do that, but I understand also that there's 10 other people behind them, so they're kind of like, we're gonna help you inject safely here because you're a lot further past where we can help you. But we're gonna, not to say we'll help these people as well, but we're just gonna give you a safe place to do it as opposed to not having a safe place and then, you.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's tricky, right? Because then you're applying one solution to like you were just saying with everything. Everybody's everything's all over the place, right? You can't quite do that.
So you can't just paint everybody. It's so very tricky. It's like
That's a tough one.
It's a puzzle.
Yeah,
it's a big puzzle, right?
Yeah,
and to get all the pieces to come together, it's difficult. It's difficult. And I'm looking from the outside in.
Right.
I'm fortunate that I've never had an addiction like that. None of my family members, so I don't know how real it is. I see it now. Yeah. And I don't know how real it is and what the steps are to get better. But I know that there should be more steps and more programs for these people.
Yeah. Right? And it looks, man, because it's weird, right? Because I almost find, and I've had a couple people who have had different experiences with this, right? Mm-hmm. And who've like gone into like had addictions, major addictions, and or have people like overdose and stuff like that, come back and like what they've go through. I've had them sit in your seat, and everything they share is, it seems to me, almost like the safe injection sites would be like almost a form of enabling it for some, but then for others it's like you were just saying, it's like if they're on the extreme case, it's right, it's tough to paint.
It's tough to
it's brutal.
It's brutal. It's brutal.
It's a tough spot.
It's a tough spot.
To be in.
And I sympathize with the younger generations, because when I grew up, it wasn't as prevalent as it is now.
Oh, for
or
sure.
Maybe I didn't see it, but I don't think it was, because the numbers have grown increasingly every year.
It's insane,
yeah.
It's definitely changed.
It's definitely changed, and it's not just the Sudbury. It's a worldwide problem.
A lot of places.
Right? It's a lot of places. It's a lot of places.
I've been to. It's funny. I was just talking about this with somebody the other day, because I'm looking at the West Coast, and I was talking to a friend of mine, and I remember being in. I've been to like the worst of the worst in Canada in terms of, like, there's a street like East Hastings Street in downtown Vancouver.
Yeah, I've heard about it. It's like
it's kind of the volume. I was explaining this to someone where, and like, visualize every single person because in Sudbury it's spread out, so no matter where you go, you kind of see a little bit of it, right? So that's a bit tricky for people to deal with. But with there, it's not. It's one spot, and so it's like, imagine taking everybody, 10x that number, and put them all on one long street, and you're like, oh goodness, right? It's scary.
It's scary. Yeah, it's scary, right? It's scary because you see them, and you look at your life and you compare it to them, and you say to yourself, how can that happen? How can that? And you don't know what they've been through. They've been through, some trauma, like life altering trauma, abuse, physical, mental abuse, severe. And nobody knows that until they go through it, right? Or they know someone close that's gone through it,
right?
And then you can see, I get it. I know why they're doing that, because they can't live with the normal life that they have, because it's so
so painful.
They're painful and scarred.
Yeah, man. So kind of switching to a lighter subject. How do you? What do you think? Business skills you think would make you succeed well in this position, as opposed to somebody who maybe hasn't had the experience in business you have? So, just from a business to politics.
Yeah, from a business to politics,
skill set.
So obviously one of the main, let's say, platform on the PC Party platform is have the fiscal responsibility. So as being a businessman, a small businessman. Yeah. Because I'm not you're big. I'm not a big business. I'm a small businessman, right? I work a lot. I still do a lot of the things. I can budget very well. I know how to make sure that there's money in the bank to pay the wages or pay their suppliers, and I am very in tune with how money should be spent. And that's one thing that when I've had discussions with people, I tell them, trust me, when I get checks for this city, I'm going to be the first one, whoever's going to, I'm like, I want to see your plan of how this is going to be spent. Because if I don't agree with it, I might not have the say. Yeah. But whoever has the say, I'm going to tell them, listen, we need to fix this.
I'm overseeing this.
I'm overseeing this. This is, my community. Yeah.
It's like, here you go, I trust you. No, it's...
No. I want to see. And I might not know the whole dynamics of it.
For sure.
So I'm going to ask people that I know that do that and say, okay, is this right? Or can it be used more effectively?
Yeah,
right?
Smart.
Because I earn every dollar that I've ever made in my life.
You want to know where it goes.
I want to know where it goes. So same thing, right? We all pay provincial taxes. So when we get it back, we want to make sure it's going to be used effectively and responsibly as
right.
well. Yeah.
That's a smart.
I'm gonna be
like
a little bit of a disruptor. We'll see.
Yeah, I love it. Bit of bit kind of like almost the estimator, the project manager of what's going on.
I'll go there.
Go from here.
I'll go right on site and say, okay, what's going on?
Yeah. What's this?
What's
How
this?
We pay for it?
Yeah.
Why'd you?
Absolutely.
Why'd you
I'm not shy. That's the worst. That's one thing I'm not shy. So I'll put people, like, not to be confrontational.
For sure.
But I'll ask them, okay, so, like, how is this gonna? Yeah, I'm gonna challenge it for sure. I'm gonna challenge it. I'm not gonna be like, well, we got this. All of a sudden, we ran over budget. Okay, well, then.
Yeah,
no.
What happened?
No,
it was supposed to be enough.
Yeah, you need to be, proactive as opposed to reactive. So I'll be there. Okay, are we on, like, and one person's like, I don't know if you, like, can do that. I'm like, well, why can't I do that? First of all, I'm a constituent and a citizen like anybody else in this city. Yeah. And B, I'm working on behalf of the province of Ontario. Yeah. And on behalf of the community of Sudbury. So I think I should be able to have a question. Yeah. If I have a question, I should be able to get heard. Right?
Like the people.
Yeah.
The people have spoken.
The people have spoken. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh man, I love it. Yeah, I appreciate that. That's an interesting. I didn't expect that answer. That's cool. Yeah. That's cool. Did you looking kind of forward on that? Do you have? Because the idea where we're talking about business, politics, and like the things that looking back on what you were doing in terms of working like at the bank and stuff like that, and then leaving for like like issues that might have been, you're like, nah, I don't see myself doing that, right? Mm-hmm. Are you concerned that might happen again, and it might turn you off of?
Well, I don't think it'll turn me off. I think it'll just make me want to do it more. Yeah. Because I think what? Because when I was young.
Interesting.
Yeah, when I was young, you're 27 years old.
For sure. Yeah.
I look back and I say, should I have, would I, if I pursued it, how well would I have been receptive to people, to maybe following protocol or lines that I didn't believe in, right? Maybe I would have stepped back a little because I was just young and naive.
Oh, that makes sense.
I'm old now. I have nothing I got nothing. Let's put it this way. I got nothing to lose, right?
Yeah,
if this doesn't work out, I can just still go back to making pizzas.
Yeah, I got adult kids. I got business. I'm good.
I'm good. Community. Yeah, my life was good. It was good. It was good, right? Yeah. This is obviously going to change a lot. So I'm gonna be like, if I don't believe in it and stuff, I'm gonna be okay. Well, show me how this is gonna work. Oh, okay. Show me how this is gonna be better. Because I might not know, but you might know. I might be looking at it from another view and be like, this is not gonna work. Right. But if you can explain to me and I trust you and you can make me believe it, then I'll be okay. But I'm not just gonna go with it. It looks good, no problem. No, I'm gonna challenge people. I'll challenge people for sure. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, that's good. That's good to hear. Are you worried about getting? Because I think the only concern I have when I hear people who've been in like the business and the community and stuff like that when they move to politics or in municipally or in any like other facet, are you not concerned, or how do you, I guess, is it going to be the people you implement, or what might be the strategy for like not getting honeypotted, like putting in a scenario that you might have like to choose one thing, or your only options might be ones you don't agree with and stuff like that. Like, how do you kind of manage that? Do you have like the team around you, or like get?
So I have a team around me. Yeah. And I definitely, there is going to be those situations
for sure.
For sure. So what I'm going to do, and what I tell people, they're like, how about if something comes up that you don't agree with? Yeah. I said, first of all, my personal beliefs need to be put aside from what is going to be the greater good for Sudbury. Right. At the end of the day. Yeah. I cannot agree with something, but if I think it's going to be best for Sudbury, that's what I will first and foremost do. Yeah, for sure. So when I get into those situations that I might not agree with it personally, I'm going to put my personal beliefs aside. Yeah. And I'm going to say what is going to be best for our community. And whatever's best for our community, I will do. Yeah. I have no agenda for this for myself. There is no you can go online so much, it's not because of the pay. There's no pension. There's nothing like that. I'm doing this because I want to try to do what's best for our community and our city. Yeah. And that is what I will make all my decisions based upon. I have no other agenda or initiative. So. Yeah.
But helping out the city also helps out you, but helps out me, helps out
everybody.
Your kids, friends, coaches, whatever you name it.
Yes, it helps out everybody, right? And that's what I'm here. I'm just trying to help out as many people as I can. Right. So that's why when I said, I want to, get into politics, I figured I'd do a municipal level, but I'm like, yes, you can help everybody there, but I think there's bigger outreach and a bigger success obviously at a provincial level to help our city, right, and our community, and like even outskirts too. as Sudbury grows, all our surrounding areas grow as well. So
Yeah.
people in Nickelbelt, they'll benefit from having Sudbury on the map again once in a while, because I think we fell off the map for a while now.
It feels like it.
It feels like
it does feel like
does.
it for sure.
There's a bad vibe in the city. I want to bring the vibe back. I want people to be happy, to live in Sudbury, be proud that they live in Sudbury, not talk it down. You're always gonna have haters.
Yeah.
It's with everything, right?
Yeah.
You're always gonna have haters. There's some people that are like, I hate this podcast. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know what I mean? But you don't worry.
I'll give them my address. They can come find me. We can discuss this further.
But just you don't worry about those people.
Yeah.
You just worry about the people that are in tune with you and that want to have a general consensus that they want the better. They want a better Sudbury, right?
For sure. How do you maintain? Because Max, you're a pretty positive guy, man. Like from the conversations we've had today, and how do you maintain a good state, mental state throughout this?
So one thing I've learned in my life is, one, if you want someone to be positive with you, you have to instill positivity in them. That's one thing. If you come with a negative vibe, that odds are that person's gonna be, they're gonna be, I don't get that positive feeling, right? And I try to separate myself from negative people.
Smart.
And just everything negative, right? I'm a positive person.
Yeah.
Life is short, so you need to make sure that you can enjoy it every day, because it's not if you die, it's when you die.
Right.
Right? Yeah. And people are like, listen, we're all gonna be dust at one day, so why not live every day as full as you can?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's sometimes things happen and get you down and stuff like that. But I can tell you right now, seeing some of the stuff that I've seen in the past couple weeks to some of the people, it really, really makes you appreciate, that I have 3 kids that are all healthy.
Yeah.
They're going to school. They're active. They're not, on the street.
Right.
I don't know where they are.
It's amazing,
thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm fairly healthy.
Yeah.
I'm not sick. I'm not, getting treatments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I just say that it's something that you need to, and it takes a long time to get that, and it's you need to mentally train yourself to say,
that is true. Yeah.
Okay, let's, don't look at them. Try not to, accept that there is negative in the world, but just focus on the positive.
Right.
Right. And I think that's a message for everything, for everybody in life. Yes, there is negative. You need to just accept it and make sure that you understand it, but focus on the positive, because the positive is what's going to make you grow as a person and keep you healthy. Yeah. Because if you're not healthy, you need, that's the only thing that you have. You have your body and your mind that you can control.
Right.
If you don't take care of those things first, it's hard to take care of everything else.
Huge.
Yeah.
Very important.
For sure.
Did you, in the last little bit, you mentioned meeting a bunch of different people and hearing stories you probably wouldn't have heard otherwise being in your position.
Yeah.
What stood out? What were some that stood out, or people that stood out that really oof, hit you a bit or resonated or something?
So the one thing that stood out, first and foremost, the one thing that stood out is there are a lot of people in this community that are doing things because they believe in the community and they believe in helping people.
Interesting.
That is one thing. Because a lot of times, you think people are just doing it for, financial success or for their own, agenda.
Because that's the world we live in.
That's the world we live in, right? But I've had discussions with people that are like, and they understand, and that's why they see what I'm doing, and they're behind me because they're like, he's like-minded like me. He's stepping away from his business, his life, to do what's best for the community, and these people are doing the same thing too.
Yeah.
And it's sad because a lot of people get painted with the same brush, and that they're in it for their own growth. I wouldn't say growth, but self-profit,
for sure,
progress. But I think there are some people like that.
Yeah.
Sure, the world is full of. But from the people that I met so far, that kind of hit home. Where, there's a lot of people on the same side, and they're trying to do it. The problem is that change is hard. Yeah. It's so to get people to shift and change, and to actually implement programs and projects, everything takes time. Yeah. Society now, everything has to be right now, right?
Right now, yeah.
You wanna, you order pizza, you want it 20 minutes ago. You're hungry now. You order something from Amazon, you want it that day.
Next day delivery.
Next day delivery, right? Yeah. Everything's go. So, but a lot of things don't happen like that.
Right.
And I think if people can appreciate how the process has to work sometimes, then I think the level of expectations might I wouldn't say lower, but they get adjusted.
Yeah. Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the one thing that really, really hit hard was, I went to a home this morning, Longsdale Addiction Center up in Minnow Lake, and I saw a kid there oh geez, I want to say he was maybe 10 years old.
Oh.
10 years old.
Not even a teenager.
Not even a teenager. 10 years old. Mental abuse. I can't even imagine. And I saw him sitting in a chair looking out the window. And it almost brought me to tears because I'm like, how can this child be in this environment now? And they're doing a phenomenal job. When they told me where he came from and where he is now,
Huge.
it's like monumental. But it really hurt. It really hurt to say, how did he get in that situation? Right? Like that's, and I don't see that firsthand because I don't live in that world. But that really hit home. Like, I'm so fortunate my kids aren't like that, and people that I know. I've never seen anybody like that, right? So, and that's just one. There's probably hundreds of those kids, right? So when I see that, I'm like, hey, there's a lot that needs to be done. There's a big, it's like there's a big pile of things that you do, but you just have to like chip away at it, right? It's like if there's a big pile of gravel and you got to move it, it's one shovel at a time. One shovel at a time. That's it, and that's what we're gonna do one shovel at a time, trying to fix.
Smart approach.
Yeah.
You don't get overwhelmed. You're like, oh man, I can't do this.
Well, no. You set a path. You set goals. You try to attain those goals. Ask for help. Get guidance. Get coaching. And that's with anything in life. Set your goals. Don't think you can get there by yourself. Yeah. Because never turn away, guidance and help.
And more often than not, you can't. Yeah. Even with like doing the podcast by myself, no producer, no nothing. It's like I can't do it without guests.
Yeah, you need
right?
guests,
or somebody, right? Or people sharing or anything, right?
Exactly.
So it's what is a typical? Because you've had when I first saw you today, you had a bunch of you're like, man, like busy, right? Like House of Middle Lake this morning, doing with them, like, geez. So what does a typical day look like right now?
Right now?
Yeah, from the beginning to now, kind of like what's a typical day?
Yeah, it's kind of wild. Yeah, so typical day, first of all, waking up at like 4 o'clock in the morning because my mind's it's spinning, right?
Yeah, gotta get things done.
So get up at like 4, kind of just get my bearings straight, and then check. We get massive amounts of emails. So because I can't check them during the day because I'm doing things like this, meeting with people. So just roll through like 60 emails. Yeah. And then I'm out of my house by like 6:30, let's say. I'll go to a couple coffee shops, just talk to people, see get the word on the street.
No kidding.
Just relate to people.
Yeah.
And then in the morning we'll go to just go to different sites, talk to workers and things like that, or just getting the word out because, like I said, typically you go door knocking and canvassing. Yeah. But because of the short election time and because it's in the dead of winter. Yeah. Yeah, you have a small window.
Sucks.
We go 5 to 7 at night because after 7 o'clock nobody's answered door and nobody's really home by 5 o'clock.
Dark.
Yeah, like this weekend I'll be out Saturday, Sunday, probably 10 till 6, both days, just canvassing. And then Monday we'll do a little bit, but then we're giving out hot chocolate on the skating path at Ramsey Lake on Family Day.
Yeah, epic.
Just to
that's smart. I like that. I like that.
Just doing things like that, making it fun. We're making it fun too.
For sure.
Yeah, we're having fun with it. That's for sure.
I like that.
Yeah. And then obviously in the afternoon having meetings, and then door knocking, and then at night social events to get I was at an event last night. You get home at like 10 o'clock.
Jeez. Yeah.
Close your eyes, wake up, and that's it. And that's it, right to bed. Yeah. But it's good though, and people are like, when you gotta go home and get some sleep, and this and that. So I'll sleep on the 28th when everything's done.
I love it.
Yeah.
When is election day is not the 28th. It's like there's like
27th.
A week or
So the election day is 27th.
Yep.
Advanced polls are the 20th, 21st, and 22nd.
Right.
And then you can actually go vote any day. Right now at 2050 Regent Street, which is right where Buzzy going into right across the street from the South End Public Library.
Yeah, it's in that plaza.
Yeah, actually, it's the building on the right hand side.
Oh, where everybody did like the drive-through test center.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, right there. Right there. Yeah, right there. Yeah, so you can go vote there anytime. You just need to bring a piece of identification to confirm your address.
Yep.
And you can go vote there anytime. And then obviously advanced polls. I tell people, you know what, go to the advanced polls because on the 27th, it'll be busy. Packed, and if there's like a snowstorm or something like that.
And there probably will be.
And there probably will be our luck. So just go vote in advance, get it over with, and get it done with. Please exercise your vote.
Yeah.
I can't stress enough on how many people in like your demographic age, some of them never voted. Yeah. Some of them know what they're voting for, right? And you're the future of our community and country. Yeah. So you should have a voice and exercise your right to vote. Yeah. Because you can make a difference, right? And I always tell people at the end of the day, if you don't vote, you can't complain because you had a choice to make a difference and you didn't do it. So, and they're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, yeah. Why didn't you vote?
Did you vote? No.
You don't have to pay for it. Yeah, you don't have to pay for it. Doesn't cost you anything. It costs you 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Go there, take a box.
It doesn't take that much time out of your day.
It takes 0 time out of your day to do it.
And you're making it so easy, right?
And
like
you're making
you
it so
take
easy.
photos and post a photo of your face, and now you vote online with next to your ad. What?
Yeah.
Like there's
so there's no
ways.
online voting for the provincial election, right? We did it from municipally. That's one thing that when I had discussions with people in the party, I'm like, you know, they have demographics. They know exactly what percentage of the age group votes, and the 20 to 30 is like second lowest to the second lowest to the 80, 90 people, right? But the 80, 90 people probably can't vote because they can't get out of the house or
for sure.
So I'm like, if you want these people to vote, you got to make it accessible for them.
Yeah.
So you need to have an online voting platform. And they're like, well, I'm like, you need to like. I know I have kids. What the way I get enticed to do something and the way they get
completely different.
It's different. It's 180.
Yeah.
It's 180 degrees.
Completely different. Yeah.
Yeah. So you need to do that, right?
Yeah.
Because the last election that we had, provincial election, was the lowest turnout in almost 100 years.
Why? Like, what? Man, like what?
Disengaged. People are disengaged. People are, whatever.
There is to your point when you say disengaged. There's like in my mind too. There's a disconnect. With I was talking to a friend Rob about this, who connected us. Shout out to him, amazing guy. Him and I were talking, go back and forth on like the idea, and we touched on this a bit in the beginning of the show with like you going on BTV or coming on here, right, and going through like actually discussing with the demographic doesn't go into the audience, which my demographic is that is my audience, right? Like my hundreds of people. Like that is them, right? That is the demographic for both of us.
Yeah.
So to see that and to go like, I'm gonna go to these demographic and do this, get in front of people, and then a bunch of people who'll be like, oh, I see orange and a blue sign. Not sure who that guy is, but he's done it before. So it's like, well, and it's like, oh wait, I see like a bunch of people know you now because I've shown be like who is that? Why does that name sound familiar? And I'm like this is who he is. And like, oh, I read Don. And I'm like, oh, okay, so you do know.
Yeah, that guy who thinks he looks like Vin Diesel. Yeah,
exactly. There are worse people to look like, right? Like there are definitely worse, I think, right?
But yeah,
so
and that's
the best part.
So even part of our camp. So usually, when people are campaigning, they have these fundraisers, right? They invite like these.
Yeah, a bunch of different
$500. So we're having one next Thursday, but it's $10.
Amazing.
At the Crusoe Club, 7 to 9.
Love the
and it's a
Club.
pizza social. Yeah. Very, very social. It's just social. People that come and meet me that don't know me. Let's say it's not. It's more just.
It's like after dinner, but like also like
after dinner. We're gonna have Don's Pizza there.
Yeah,
we're gonna have Don's Pizza. It's gonna be pretty chill.
Yeah.
Probably have TVs up if Canada's playing in the final.
Yeah.
And I'll just be speaking there. Just go around the room. So, same thing to catering to your demographic, because I really want, and not so much to see them come to vote, just to get to vote, just to come out and vote.
Yeah.
Realize that you're the future of our city, and that you need to make the decisions now.
Yeah, and we're most affected by the things that happen and don't happen, right? That's what we were talking where it's like that demographic was like, oh man, like the having kids early versus like in like beginning your careers in this. There's so many.
There's a lot of big life choices at this moment, right? A lot of big life choices.
Yeah, mid-20s, late 20s.
Yeah. Like my life choices now are like, am I drinking skim milk or whole milk? Like,
yeah,
that's, you know what I mean. Like I've had a lot of like. I've done all these things.
Yeah.
So your demographic, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of decisions that you're scared to make these decisions.
Yeah, yeah. And they're bigger than just where we're going. What do we want to do?
Yeah, like having kids is huge. It's huge.
Man. There's so many. It's like, can we afford it? But then we talk to people who are terrified of it. But like,
your
it's
life
expensive.
Alters.
Yeah.
Like drastically. People
crazy,
are like,
man.
no, it doesn't. No, it does.
Yeah,
Trust me,
ridiculous.
It does. But it for the good.
Yeah.
Kids are awesome. Having kids are amazing. But it does change your life.
Yeah.
So you got to try to prepare. And a lot of it is like, trust me, you're not ready for some of the stuff that comes because there's no handbook. There's a lot of books, but until you're in it, you don't know.
Like you said, everything's so different for everybody, right?
And you adapt. People can adapt.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's why we're doing things like this, like that pizza social, where we're trying to get the younger demographic just to come out and see what it's all about. I have 2 people working on my team that are 23 years old, and they wanted to, they reached out, they wanted to volunteer. So, you're interested in politics? I'm like, perfect. This is like the Super Bowl that you're going to right now. If you like football, but you never watched a football game in your life, you're getting thrown to it's perfect. They're enthralled. They see what's going on. They see the behind the scenes and everything.
It's exciting.
It's exciting.
It's busy, but like you said earlier, it's busy in the good way.
Yeah, it's busy in a great way. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's good.
So what would you say is a completely different topic? What would you say is the hardest and least hardest, or like most difficult thing about having kids, and then like the thing that makes it worth it?
So the most difficult thing about having kids is...
Because you had a bunch back to back.
Yeah, I had a set of twin girls, and then 15 months later I had another daughter. Yeah, so it was wild times.
Two at once. Insane.
The hardest thing about having kids, honestly, is finding the time to spend with them when they're young. Especially as a small business owner.
Right.
And I tell people all the time, I'm like, listen, enjoy the first 0 to 4 years, because enjoy every day. You're never gonna get it back.
Right. That makes sense.
In my mind, that was the hardest thing.
Yeah.
I always said, and my dad always told me, he says, listen, don't worry about money.
Yeah.
Because whether or not you can order out to eat, or you're eating at home, you're still eating.
Right.
Happiness is not, and that's one thing I know, is that happiness doesn't come with money. Money doesn't buy happiness.
Right.
That's first and foremost.
I
see people. I've been to countries where people have nothing, and they've got smiles on their face ear to ear. You couldn't wipe the smile off their face, right?
Insane, yeah.
So yes, money is and finances obviously is a stress when you have children.
Yeah, it plays a role.
But you have children, and then when you can see them grow and become their own self, it's awesome. Awesome. Yeah.
That's cool. Do you have any kind of politics, or it could be like lessons from like just your 20s, or you name it, that like final lesson or teachable moment, or even like the last thing you kind of want to conclude, like concluding notes on before
like, because when I was in my 20s, I was 23 and I moved out of my house, and I bought a triplex with my best friend. We lived in one, we rented out the other.
Sick. Smart.
One thing that you can't buy is time. So if young people want to, go into a business venture or try a career, do it. You're young. Nothing. Listen, if it fails, you learn from it. You still have time to move on. You still got a lot of time. Your demographic, more demographic. My kids, they'll change their career
a bunch,
2 to 3 times in their life. Like not a wholesale. Not like I went from a nurse to becoming a doctor. Like the nurse, then they became an engineer, or like so.
Completely.
Don't be scared of change, and that's one thing that when I tell people moving forward, I'm like, yes, we haven't had a PC representative in 40 years in Sudbury. It's typically liberal MP, but don't be scared of the change, because without change, there's no growth, and there's no ability to open up other doors, right?
Right.
So don't be scared of the change with anything, with kids, with careers, life in general. That's how you grow, and that's how you learn, is by always, altering, changing, moving as you go. And you'll look back. I look back and I'm like, you know what? I should have did this. I should have did that. I should have did that. But same thing when I tell people now, they're like, well, this happened. I'm like, my focus is forward. Yeah. What I'm gonna do with the past is I'm gonna learn from it, so I don't make the same mistake again. Moving forward. Yeah. But I'm not. It's like the old saying: if you want to go forward, you can't keep looking back, right? No. So that's one thing I could tell young people: just don't be scared. Ask for guidance. Ask for help. It's out there. People are always willing to help, and share life experiences with people, right? And just do it. Yeah. 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 Just do it. I love it. Yeah, it's life, man. It's never gonna be perfect. Right. If it's perfect, it's boring. Yeah. Right. Yeah. If it's perfect, it's never gonna be perfect. So don't look for perfection, because you're gonna be on a lifetime journey that's never gonna succeed. Right. Right. Yeah. So Max, I roll out the red carpet for you. Tell us, where can people find you? Where can people connect? Where can people see what you're doing? Sure. And where can people vote for you? So you mentioned it, but yeah, you can dive into it all. So obviously we have I'm on Facebook, we're on Instagram, LinkedIn, all underneath Max Massimiliano, PC candidate. Epic. Or cool. Some of them have different names because of the word, but we're all up on social media. We have a website. You can go to the Ontario PC website, and it'll bring you right to our page. Let's say our office is on the Kingsway, 1080 the Kingsway. Our campaign office is open 10 to 4 every day, and message me. I've been replying messages to as many people as I can.
Yeah, you've been great.
Yeah,
I've been pretty impressed.
And people that I don't even know, they're like,
yeah.
you know, I'll message them back and I'll say, you know, it might be at 4:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
When I get up,
yeah.
but I'll message them back. Reach out. I'm a personal person. I'll talk to people and stuff. And like I said, we have our pizza social next Thursday at the Cruise Club, 7 to 9.
Yeah.
You can go vote anytime right now at the 2050 Regent Street. Advanced polls are the 20th, 21st, 22nd. Depending on which area you live in, you will be getting where your polling stations will be. Mm-hmm. And then February 27th is the big day.
Big day.
Big day, yeah. So if you don't get out the advanced polls, please get out on the 27th. Polls are open from 9 to 9, so it's 12 hours. So you know,
plenty of time.
Plenty of time to
plenty
go.
Of time, please.
But just get out and vote. And if there's anything I can say, it's Sudbury's time, and we need change.
I love it.
Yeah.
Right on, brother.
Thanks,
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, man.
I'm glad we can make this happen.
Yeah.